Are you an empath? Are you a highly sensitive person? Are you both? Today's video is all about, are you an empath as well as an HSP? I'm doing this video because I think there is a lot of confusion between what is an HSP and what is an empath. And there are a lot of overlapping qualities and traits that make up an HSP, that make up an empath. But there are some very significant differences between an empath and an HSP. And understanding who you are helps you heal and helps you go down that healing journey, that healing path, and you'll know what you need. You'll know and understand who you are. So let's dive into today's video. Are you an empath? And let's dive into kind of some of the granular stuff so you can understand who you are, so you can become an empowered empath and an empowered HSP. Hello, beautiful souls. My name is Ginger Reddy, and welcome to the Thriving Sensitive. This is a channel where we get real about how it feels to live as a highly sensitive person in this very chaotic, wild world, and where we learn not just to survive, but to thrive and to really see our sensitivities as a gift, as a superpower. So here on this channel, we take coaching and we also take energy healing, merge the two together to experience transformation. If you have been stuck in the same type of pattern where you're experiencing over and over again the same overwhelm, the same anxiety, and you're wondering why it doesn't go away, well, guess what? It's time to do something different, and I'm glad you're here. So you are where you're supposed to be. Are you an empath? What are the differences between an HSP and an empath? And as always, I've added timestamps below so you can jump to whatever part resonates with you the most. I want to be super respectful of your time. I also, it's very cloudy outside and my ring light stopped working, so hopefully you can see me okay. All right, so let's get into it. So I've mentioned before that I am both. I am an HSP and an empath. I actually did a really powerful video last week where I talked about discovering that I am an HSP and an empath and how it changed my life. Check that one out. It's a really good video. So let's dive into what is the difference between an HSP and an empath. I think this is, it gets very confusing for people. So highly sensitive people process sensory information more deeply, like external stimuli, and we're processing things that are happening outside around us. Sounds, bright lights, intense environments are going to feel very overwhelming for HSPs. HSPs make up about 20 to 25% of the population, and biologically, they are wired with a more responsive nervous system. Let me get a little sciencey on you. So what do I mean by biologically wired? So biologically wired means that our sensitivity is rooted in genetics and in brain function. Highly sensitive people, HSPs, have more active mirror neurons, which enhances our empathy and our emotional awareness. So this is the heightened sensitivity that HSPs experience. It's a reason why we connect so deeply with others. We pay attention to all the things that are around us. We will respond more acutely to our environment because of these things. If you want to know more about HSP traits, I have done a lot of videos on HSP traits. Please go check them out. I will drop some of the links below. Okay, so the next question that a lot of people ask me, and you're probably thinking yourself, is an HSP born this way? Yes, HSPs are born this way. Being a highly sensitive person is a primarily innate trait that you are born with. It stems from sensory processing sensitivity, SPS, which is influenced by, again, our genetics and our nervous system. So research has strongly suggested that HSPs are born with the trait of sensitivity. HSPs' brains are wired differently. They process sensory information more deeply. So yes, your sensitivity is an amazing part of who you are. So the next question you may be asking yourself is, are empaths born this way as well? Yeah, a lot like HSPs, empaths have a natural gift for feeling others' emotions. It's just natural. It happens from birth, and empaths' brains also process sensory information more deeply, a lot like HSPs. You've probably also heard like a traumatic event that can, happen in someone's life and it turns that person into an empath. And I used to think this as a truth as well. And there's some research that still backs this, but really, it doesn't create the empath. Think about it. It's probably already a part of them. It's an innate quality. And when that traumatic event happens, it pushes it to the forefront. It brings that empath quality out from them because of the traumatic experience, but it already lived within them. Let me give you an example. I've always known I was different growing up. I didn't quite fit in. I've got my dog here trying to play with me. But spending 13 years in abusive relationships really brought that innate sensitivity to the forefront. So I'm a perfect example of knowing that I was empathic, but it was that traumatic event of the abuse that really pushed it to the forefront and led me to my healing path. It was part of my soul's contract to go through that, to awaken me to the experience of being an empath and being an HSP. And listen, y'all, I am not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm sharing my insights based on research, studying for years, and working with HSPs and empaths, and just a lot of personal experience. Some people might not believe that this is something that you are born with as being an HSP or being an empath. And that's okay. That is okay. I have found that both HSPs and empaths are born with this unique wiring, and it makes them who they are. Even if a major life event is what brought it out, it's part of who they are. It's a part of who you are. So we talked a little bit about HSP traits. And again, remember, please, I've got tons of videos on HSP traits. Go check them out. Let's dive into empath traits, because being empathic is much more than just being sensitive. Where people are like, I'm sensitive, so I'm an empath. Well, when you're an empath, you don't just feel for people. You're like sympathetic, like sympathy. You feel with them. Empaths are sponges, absorbing other people's emotions and even physical symptoms, like our bodies, our hearts, our minds, our souls experience some part of what that other person is going through. That is being an empath. So, for example, I used to get headaches all the time. I mean, like to a point that I went to the doctor in high school for headaches. And I didn't understand why I got all these headaches. I was picking up on other people's energy all the time. I could walk into a grocery store, leave, have a headache. Now, when I get a headache, I ask myself, is this my headache or is it someone else's? And oftentimes it's someone else's. I release the energy and it's no longer mine. It's no longer part of me and the headache is gone. Another example, if you are an empath, when you walk into, say, for example, a office meeting and all of a sudden you feel sad, but you felt really happy right before it, you're an emotional sponge. You are picking up energy from the people or a person in that meeting. So you actually feel the emotions from others. Empaths are emotional sponges. They absorb emotions and physical ailments even. They take it on as theirs, experiencing what that other person is experiencing. Empaths also have a high sensitivity to energy, like frequencies, strong intuition, deep compassion for others, a powerful connection with nature and animals, need for solitude. Empaths also have this psychic sense, this psychic sensitivity, just this knowing feeling. You know things, you feel things, you experience things, you just know. Many empaths have this spiritual calling, like this spiritual home feeling. And empaths also often feel very alien, like they don't belong on this planet. I describe this as a sixth sense. This sixth sense allows empaths to see, feel, hear, understand energy, other things that people don't see, that live in their five senses. You're experiencing something outside of your five senses, where most of the world focuses and lives in those five senses. Vibrationally, you experience the world differently. Again, most people live in the five sensory experience. Empaths do not. They feel and sense more, which also makes it usually very hard for an empath to fit in and feel normal. Again, that's where that alien-like feeling comes from. So empaths see the invisible. They've got that sixth sense, that knowing. So what is the difference, the biggest difference between HSPs and empaths? HSPs experience the world with that heightened awareness. Empaths absorb energy, absorb emotions, absorb what that other person or people are feeling around them. They have that sixth sense, that knowing, the psychic abilities. So if you experience any of these as an HSP, you are most likely an empath as well. And both are beautiful gifts to have. But many times, empaths and HSPs suffer a lot in this world because they don't know how to manage their energy. It can lead to constant fatigue and anxiety and stress. And there is a way to become more empowered in your gifts. You don't have to hide. Where other people will tell you, you need to set all these boundaries and do this and do that, that you feel like you have to hide from life. Abso-freaking-lutely not. That drives me crazy. You do not have to hide. You do not need to hide. So watch next week's video because I am going to talk about different ways that you can live empowered as a highly sensitive person and an empath, one or the other or both, whichever, because both HSPs and empaths experience the world in such a bigger, vibrant, most amazing way, but again can be very exhausting whenever you're leaking energy and your energy is not managed appropriately. So make sure you watch next week's video. I do have a couple other videos talking about energy management. I will drop those links below as well. I am sending you all so much light, love, and beautiful energy. Have a great day, y'all.